Okay, it's time to show off an update on the SeedlessGrape world in Valheim. As you can see, I've moved into the Bronze Age. Now we gotta wait for it to load. It is generally a bad idea to venture outside at night. Okay. So here we are in the meadows in Valheim. And where's my house? Oh my god! My house got destroyed by Greylings. Actually, if you'll give me a moment, I call them Morty. Um, because they're so... Once you've been in the game for a while, you learn that they're so inconsequential that they're pretend to be bad guys, but they're really not that bad. But anyway, so yes, my house is entirely gone, and the beehives that I'd collected also gone. Surprise! Yes, I built a whole new house. I've relocated everything, literally everything, every scrap of wood collected. And this is my new house. I put an actual fence around it instead of the cheap little garden fence that I used to have. And I built a much larger house. Yes, I had to do some ground leveling to make it fit. But you see all this wonderful space I have in here now? I have my workbench upgraded to level 4. And I have a forge upgraded to level 3. A little thing that I've forgotten about, for in ads, you have to put it literally between the workbench and the forge for it to work. So think about that when you're putting your forge place for the first time. And of course, no surprise, I've been doing quite a bit of mining for copper and tin, which explains why I've got such better armor. I still haven't killed a troll yet, but I got a cartography table so that multiple players in my game can share their mapping and see what I've explored. And yes, I put my double fireplace in it again with the half wall so that you can collect your food without getting burned. And you have to walk up close to it to be able to see, so you can get up close to collect your food. And of course, as before, you have to go outside to feed the fire. And yes, I have a portal too. I'll show you that in a second. Pieces of wood from when I was doing the windows. Yes, I have windows in there. But like I said, the reason that you have to have a decent chimney for your fire is because if I can get a good angle to show you. Because the game considers the particles of smoke to be these big tufts, and you have to have a opening big enough for these tufts of smoke to pass through. There. You see that little circle there? That is a tuft of smoke. You have to have an opening big enough for that to pass through. That's why when you don't have a big enough vent for your fires, that they eventually go out because they can't breathe. So you have to have a big opening like this. A lot of people say that there's a better way, a more aesthetically pleasing way to make a more effective chimney, but really this is the easiest guaranteed effective way. And yes, you have to raise the wall on the outside so that you can feed the fire from outside, because you can't feed the fire from inside. I just used up all my wood. As you can see, I have a smelter and a forge. I like to put my smelter up on my kiln up on a hill so that the coal can roll down after it ejects. And I like to put my forge a little bit away from my kiln so that I don't have to be cramped while putting stuff in it. And of course, I like to put chests on the outside of the house near the forge and the smelter, so I have room, place to put coal, place to put unforged ore after I've mined it, because usually you're going to be mining separately from forging. But I wanted to show off the bedding trick, since it's nighttime. If you have a 26-degree roof, put stairs in the roof and they become totally invisible. If you have a 45-degree roof, you'll want to use a ladder. It's a little bit visible, but look at this, you can walk straight up the ladder, stairs, and not a bit of stumbling. Okay, so if you have a world where you have multiple players, what is this, another piece of wood? We have multiple players that are having to sleep in your house, and you have a small house, you don't have to worry about needing to have a lot of floor space for beds. You can actually bunk your beds. By putting floor above a bed and then putting a bed on top of that. You can't put them too high because you can't access the bed above the floor because you see the floor instead of the bed. But, and this is a really comical trick, if you put, and I think you can do this all the way across the house, if you put floors up near the ceiling, and you're gonna laugh when you see how this works. Smash out the roof. And then you place the bed on the flooring. Replace your roof. And you'll be able to see the bed sticking out of the roof a little bit. And then go out back in, and of course, as before, you can't access the bed because you're hitting the floor. If you go across the room, you're too far away from the bed. So just smash away the floors. The bed will stay up there, and you can claim the bed and sleep in it while it's up on the roof. When you wake up in the morning, you'll end up outside the house. But it allows you to sleep through the night in someone else's house without having to take up a bunch of floor space, or if you don't have any floor space, without having to go out and build another house just to have a bed. You can just leave it up there and it doesn't use up any space in your house. Another trick that I've learned, and it doesn't always work effectively, so before I do that though, let me show off my bees that I've relocated. I have actually gone to another island and hunted down a lot of bees. I have 14 beehives now, so I literally will never run out of honey. In fact, I have such a plentiful supply of honey that I store excess honey in a chest nearby. And yes, I have a portal. When I first started playing the game, I had this sneaking suspicion that the portal transportation reminded me of an old 70s album cover, and it took me a long time to figure out that it was actually Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life that it reminds me of. As you can see, I've emptied out this chest because I've transported all of the stuff that I mined from it. And yes, I built a fence around this house too. Let me show you the map real quick. Where we are, it's down here in the south, this island down here. You can see I've explored an awful lot of it. And I had another character explore a lot of this stuff. This is all dark forest up here. So I haven't been there yet because this character is not leveled up enough. I still haven't killed a troll yet. I still haven't killed a deer god. So I'm still kind of stagnating on that regard. What else do I want to show you in mapping? Not a whole lot. There's a troll that spawned over here I need to kill. But yeah, so I got a lot of trolls I'm gonna have to kill to progress in the game because I have to get back into the dark forest, and there's a lot of. Oh, and yes, I put the same fireplace arrangement in this house. One of these days I'm gonna do a video on how to build this fireplace. It's really kind of simple, because when you're out roaming around exploring, you find a broken down house and you want to repair it to live. Most people just put a fire behind the house and then put a section of roof over it, and that's enough unless it's raining. But I always like to build this fireplace. It's really quite effective, and it doesn't take as much work as the quote-unquote proper way. Um, so, yeah, one of these days, fireplace tutorial. Anyway, back to the Songs in the Key of Life portal. What else was I going to show you in here? Oh yes, I've made much more sense out of my storage. I put chests for food above the fireplaces, a chest for my workbench, a chest for my forge, and then a chest for other goodies. My cartography table here, as you can see, we put the Christmas stuff up. And I think that's all I need to show you inside the house. Except, of course, the wonderful trick with the bed. Yeah, see? You can access it from underneath. Okay, so I was going to show you the other bed trick. Okay, let me roam way over here. Okay, let's say you've been exploring. Okay, let's say you've been running around exploring a lot, and although in my case it's mid-afternoon, but you've been exploring a lot of meadows trying to find a village to build a house so you can sleep for the night because you know night's coming and you're far, far away from your base. And the only thing you can find is one of these tiny little houses on stilts. And of course, as it being a temporary abode, you do the simple little, you build a fire next to the house, put a roof above it to block it from rain. Or if it's not even remotely gonna rain, you can just not do that. But you think, okay, so this is a decent place. You put a workbench in it, you tidy up the house, you put a chest in it to stash your stuff, and get ready to cook all your food, and think about trying to sleep for the night, and there's just not enough space in the house for a bed. Well, if it's raised up on stilts, what you can do is put a bed underneath it. Now, one of two things. You either have to put a floor underneath the bed, and of course, see, even if you put a floor underneath the bed, it's too exposed. So putting a floor underneath it, not entirely effective. But what you will want to do is put walls on either side. And you may have to put the bed a little bit more underneath the house. Okay, so if you put it too far into the house, you won't be able to access it. There. And then you can sleep underneath the house instead of having to make a space inside of it. And then you wake up inside the house. Of course, you know, figuring this is kind of a useless trick because you could just do the bed in the roof trick. The nice thing about having a workbench nearby no, you can't. You have to be above the floor to be able to put the bed on the floor. And see, the trouble with these houses is that you kind of can't put a bed in them. So yeah, so that's an interesting little solution to the problem of not being able to put a bed in these tiny houses. If you can get on top of it and take the roof off, put a bed on top of that piece of floor, and then put the roof back on, then you can sleep in the roof.